Hello and welcome to the STiKS Weekly Recap. I'm Fox, and we have probably the worst timing possible. I wanted to let you all know that my thoughts go out to the people in Paris right now suffering from the horrible tragedy. I apologize for the bad timing for all of this, but there's a lot of things that happened this week within COD Esports, and there's a whole lot of talking points and very important things and very important changes coming to the Call of Duty Esports community. You're going to see them along the side of your screen here, at least most of those things. The Tostitos 50K is happening tomorrow in Columbus, Ohio at the MLG Arena. The next thing we're going to talk about are arena updates. There were many changes coming to the arena in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 that we're going to get into. The first weapon patch of Black Ops 3 actually dropped today, so that's the more recent news out of everything that's going on in Call of Duty Esports. And the final thing we're going to talk about is the competitive rule set and bans. There's certainly been a lot of controversy over the past 7 days since Call of Duty Black Ops 3 came out in terms of what should be banned, what needs to be nerfed, everything like that. So we will get into all of those things today. So first thing we're going to talk about is the Tostitos 50K. Now this is a tournament being hosted by Twitch at the MLG Studios, which I found pretty interesting to see Twitch and MLG working together on something like this. It's a $50,000 tournament, and according to the pro players, they still have no idea what maps and game modes and weapons and everything they're going to be playing, and that's really the biggest question going into this, other than what in the world could bring Twitch and MLG TV together. I think the only real answer is pizza rolls. Tostitos pizza rolls. Shout out to you guys. Thank you very much for having your pizza rolls bring two opposing entities together. But yeah, the Tostitos 50K this weekend should be very exciting to watch. It's more over going to be a show match instead of like an official championship or a major tournament for Call of Duty Esports. So if you're tuning in for something like that, then you're going to be kind of let down, but it's going to be very exciting. We're seeing 8 pro teams. It's going to be Luminosity Gaming, which is a new organization coming to the scene. We're going to see FaZe, Elevate, Opti Gaming, Team Caliber, and the next couple of teams are actually escaping me, so I'm actually going to pull them up really quick, but it should be a great tournament. In terms of predictions, I'd say that the most of the community is favoring teams like Opti Gaming and FaZe, who are obviously coming off of their dominating runs throughout Call of Duty Advanced Warfare throughout Season 3, and Optic obviously throughout the entire year. But I'd say that another team people need to look out for is Team Envious. I've been seeing them do a lot of things that have kind of upset people, but they've been adjusting to the metagame in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 very, very well, I have to say. So Tostitos 50K this weekend should be exciting to watch. There's a bit of a surprise. I actually kind of wonder why they didn't market this event as well as they usually would any other tournament, but it's a nice surprise to see. We're going to see a 2-day event. Maybe they just didn't want to hype it up as like the first major tournament. I think that if you want to see the highest peak of competition, you should wait until, or no, the higher peaks of competition where these tournaments are actually considered majors, that you should wait until the first couple weeks of December as the qualifiers and everything are going on, because we will see the LAN qualifiers. We did see that Activision actually announced the invite-only tournament where they listed lots of pro players from NA, EU, and Australia and such. All of that was based on Advanced Warfare pro points, by the way. So if you could think of a player that wasn't on that list, it's probably due to his lack of pro points compared to the people above him in the list. So that's exciting. Apparently it's going to be a LAN qualifier as well. So I'm happy to see that Activision is stepping in and, them coming into the community and everything. We're all obviously seeing bigger changes. I feel like last year we probably would have seen most of these qualifiers online. So it's exciting that they're, Activision being the publisher, they obviously have the money to put towards esports to make something like this happen. So we're up for a great year of Call of Duty, I would say. So that's about it for the Tostitos 50K. I want to go ahead and see your predictions for the tournament in the chat. If you want my predictions, I'm obviously going to go with either Opti Gaming or FaZe right now, but I think that Envious is also another team to look out for. It's really hard to say going into Black Ops 3 here because there are so many different... The teams are new, right? We haven't seen how well or efficiently they're going to use protects and bans. A lot of the weapons patch that just came today is apparently changing things. And again, we're going to talk about that later on here. But the next topic we're going to get into are the arena updates. So Arena actually saw a couple of updates over the past several days. One of the big issues with Arena is, for anybody that doesn't know what Arena is, by the way, it's the competitive playlist in Call of Duty Black Ops 3. If you've played League Play and Black Ops 2, you have a general idea as to what it is. The main issue with Arena so far in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is that you've been getting, it's bugged to the point where you can have like 8 versus 0 matches or 2 versus 6 matches, because 2 plus 6 is 8. That's how numbers work. And it's been really messy. The UI has been buggy. When you would ban things, even in private match, this was an issue. When you would ban things or protect things, it wouldn't make a difference. People could use those items anyway. So that was all patched today. Luckily, they were able to remedy that issue. But Arena, I think, is looking really good. I mean, we're seeing them already within the first couple of days within the game being released, making consistent patches to it. And it's different from how we saw in Advanced Warfare's ranked play, where ranked play came out, and then Sledgehammer actually said that, hey, the first season is going to be a preseason. We're just trying things out, testing things out, waiting, testing the waters. And they didn't make any updates to it at all until like a couple days or a couple weeks after the competitive settings came out. Whereas Treyarch, they're already making patches to it, fixing things that are broken about it, fixing the whole issue with bans and protects. They even added today a boot kick, a team betrayal penalty. So I actually found this out on accident. I was just playing normally. I think it's when you kill 3 people on your team, you get kicked instantly. And that's very it was frustrating at first because obviously those team kills weren't on purpose, but it's good that they at least put that into the game, because another problem that people have had is friendly fire and how you can just go in, kill your teammates as much as you want with no punishment. So now basically what people are waiting on is hopefully a quit probation. And a playlist probation when you quit matches and everything. So Arena looks great so far. They also added Capture the Flag into the playlist. Now, Capture the Flag has kind of been the a question that everyone has had is like, are we going to see it return? Is Capture the Flag coming back? For those of you guys who don't know, Capture the Flag was a very popular competitive game mode in Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and for the first half of Advanced Warfare, it was something that a lot of people saw. But over time, people stopped enjoying it because the spawns were very bad. The exosuits and everything in Advanced Warfare kind of ruined that playlist. It caused lots of stalemates. The maps weren't made very well for it as well. But now that we come into Black Ops 3, people want to see CTF return. CTF actually brought us some of the most exciting moments in Call of Duty history, I would say. All of us remember the optic van from Standoff, CTF. That's got to be the first thing that comes to everybody's mind, all right? And then also in Advanced Warfare, an intense CTF match between Enigma 6 and Optic Gaming on Retreat, where it ended at the very last second. The casters were getting hyped. They didn't even know what happened at the very last moment of the game, and it was a 1-point game in overtime. It was crazy. But CTF, people are hoping to see it return. I want to see your thoughts in the chat. I am reading the chat as we're going on here. But I just wanted to let you guys know that CTF, they're testing it. Vandahar actually went onto the COD competitive subreddit today to talk about how they're considering bringing CTF back. He said that he assumed everyone wanted just Uplink to come back, but we're seeing CTF come back as well. He wants to test it and see if we're going to run hardpoint CTF and S&D. If you want my opinion on this, personally, I think that Uplink was much better in Advanced Warfare. I, however, do not have a problem with Uplink in Black Ops 2. I think that it plays fine. It plays different, but it's not bad. It could work. I think that it's good that we have too many good game types rather than not enough, such as the situation was in Call of Duty Ghosts. So I think that at this point, it should really just come down to what plays better and what the community would prefer to see. I would prefer to see CTF just because it's classic Call of Duty. New viewers coming in to watch the stream will already have a general idea of what Capture the Flag is. Capture the Flag goes down in history as to what it is. You go into the enemy base, pull the flag, and you bring it back to yours. We've seen it in Halo for years. We've seen it in many other first-person shooters and even other genres, other subgenres and everything. It's a historical game mode. It's a historical just thing that people do, right? So I would like to see CTF come back, but like I said, Uplink would be perfectly fine as well. I want to see your thoughts on that in the chat below. So now we're going to move on into the first weapon patch of Black Ops 3. We actually have an image of that right here that we're going to pop up on screen for you momentarily. The very first weapons patch for Black Ops 3 ever came out today, and this one's actually a really big one. I think that overall a lot of these changes were kind of unexpected in terms of what happened in the beginning of Advanced Warfare. This is a lot less predictable in terms of what they buffed and nerfed. In the beginning of Advanced Warfare, we were obviously calling for a BAL nerf because the BAL was the obvious overpowered weapon at the time, but here in the release of Black Ops 3, the main problem are light machine guns, really. I can't really think of any other weapons that I would say are overpowered or underpowered at the moment, except maybe the Weevil SMG, but that didn't even get touched today. So I'm going to go ahead and read them all for you right now in case you're just listening to this. The weapons that were nerfed, according to David Vandahar on the r/Black Ops 3 subreddit: the Gorgon, the XR2 assault rifle, the Gorgon is the light machine gun, the XR2 assault rifle, the Pharaoh submachine gun, the VMP submachine gun, and the Haymaker shotgun were all nerfed. Now, for the buffed weapons, we have the Razorback submachine gun, the HVK assault rifle, the Dingo light machine gun, that's the two-shot kill light machine gun with a really slow fire rate, the KRM 262 shotgun, the Argus shotgun, and the Locust sniper rifle. Now, I think that a lot of us expected the light machine guns to have some sort of change coming into the first patch here for Black Ops 3, right? but we didn't expect to see one of these light machine guns getting buffed, right? The Dingo he didn't specify exactly how these weapons were buffed or nerfed. You kind of just have to go in and test out the feel of it. There were no patch notes released as of right now about these weapons and everything. But as far as the nerf list, I'm happy to see the Gorgon on there. I'm happy to see. I really don't want too many things nerfed. I feel like right now the only thing that needed touching was light machine guns. I think that overall we have a very, very balanced weapon metagame in terms of, and Black Ops 3 aside from what's going on with the light machine guns right now. I think that everything's great. We see lots of players using assault rifles because they like them instead of using it because they have to, like the BAL in Advanced Warfare or the Remington in Call of Duty Ghosts. We saw people in the beginning of Call of Duty Ghosts using the SC 2010 for a little bit until they all slowly realized that, hey, the Remington is a lot better. And then we saw obviously the buff happen where it was also machine guns. But I like the weapon pool that we have right now. We have people like Octane that prefers to use automatic rifles like the HVK and the ICR. But then we have other players like Goonjar or like Slasher that prefer the XR2 and the M8, and they could use an automatic assault rifle if they want, but those are just kind of the options that they went with. So it's good that we have players going for their preference as opposed to something that they have to use. Right. And now, of course, in any sort of metagame, there's going to be a weapon that you have to use, just like in Black Ops 2. The M8 was the weapon that if your team wasn't running the M8 ever, you were not a top team. Well, obviously, there were teams that ran AN94s and such, but the M8 was just the main point of the metagame, of course. And in Black Ops 3 here, we're seeing a nice variety of weapons. So for me personally, I don't like that they did so much changing to the weapons. I think that I've been using the HVK myself and Octane as well, a very popular assault rifle, very talented assault rifle. He's also like using the HVK. In my opinion, I don't think that weapon needed any changes. I could possibly see why they would maybe want to increase the range of it or something. I could see why they would maybe want to change the reload time, maybe the ADS speed or something. But I really can't imagine what they would be doing to these weapons. The Dingo is apparently something else that got a buff, and I just don't what? What are you going to do to that gun? It already kills in 2 shots. Sure, it has a slow fire rate, but it's not like that was hurting anybody in competitive play. I just can't imagine what you would do to it to buff it even more, right? Now, the XR2, I think that they're trying to maybe differentiate between the XR2 and the M8 right now, because you've actually seen a lot of pros more recently favoring the XR2 over the M8. After the nostalgia wore off of the M8 returning to Call of Duty, you saw more people favoring the XR2. But I'm curious to see what this nerf is. I actually tried it out myself to see what was changed, and the only thing that I noticed different was maybe there's a shorter range drop off. The fire rate seemed the same with rapid fire. The recoil seemed perfectly normal. The reload time was the same. ADS speed was almost unaffected as far as I can tell. So I'm hoping some patch notes come out to give us some hard facts as to what was going on with these weapons. But another thing that was changed was the Locust sniper rifle was buffed. I think that was definitely necessary, especially with how hard of a hit snipers have taken in Black Ops 3 with the weaker aim assist and how some of them don't even kill in 1-shots like the Locust. It's very hard to get a 1-shot kill with that weapon. It's like just from the chest up, whereas other weapons might be able to kill from the lower ribs, the waist, the upper thighs, things like that. The SVG is kind of the go-to sniper rifle for pro players. So maybe we can see that change. The Locust. The advantage that the Locust have over the SVG currently is its fire rate and the weight of the gun itself. The Locust is a very heavy sniper. If you guys played Black Ops 2, you're familiar with the difference between the Ballista and the DSR. After the nerf to the DSR had higher damage and could 1-shot kill more, but it was much heavier and harder to handle than the likes of the Ballista, which is why you saw, trick shotters and quickscopers and everything like that favoring the Ballista. But I don't know. Interesting buffs all around. The Argus still isn't that good at all. Believe me, it's not that great of a shotgun. The KRM is probably the best shotgun in the game right now, and seeing that get a buff, especially after the beta, was kind of crazy to me. Now, some things that I think are missing from this list, right? I think that I would like to see LMGs nerfed in terms of their movement speed. All of them, across the board. That should just be a right-out thing immediately. That should happen. And in terms of them individually, maybe we could see the range being cut down for some of the weapons like the Dredge, or we could remove the rapid fire attachment entirely from light machine guns, which I think would be necessary as well. And I really, other than those 3 things, I don't think that there's too much else that needs to be done to light machine guns. I think that it's important that we have, because of the way Call of Duty is built, I think that it's important that we have a diverse metagame in terms of the weapon pool, because there's a reason that the light machine gun and the submachine gun both cost 1 point in created class. They want players to be able to adapt and adjust based on the current situation. So they still, obviously, Vandahar has expressed his interest in keeping these weapons viable. I just think that right now in their current state, they're a bit much. At this point, I do think that it's necessary, 100% necessary, to have a light machine gun on your team. If you don't have a light machine gun, you're more than likely going to lose. But we have seen some teams like Elevate beat FaZe in the S&D tournament yesterday. Actually, I think they did a best of 5, but the last 2 maps, Elevate was able to beat them 6-2 and then 6-0, where nobody on Elevate was using the LMGs, but FaZe was using LMGs, shotguns, all that sort of thing, and Elevate adjusted by running sniper rifles and such. So it's important that we don't have a knee-jerk reaction to these things. I think that it's important that we at least give it a shot and try and test things and strategize around them rather than just banning them outright. Or not even banning them or even providing advice or our opinions on them, on what we should do with them. We're just kind of using these gentlemen's agreements to shove the problem aside, which will just create more problems in the community, such as vitriol between players and new players trying to learn the game and everything that don't see these things banned. So I don't know. Me personally, I like to see LMGs in the game, just not in their current state. So I say we use them until they get nerfed, continue providing our feedback, let Vandahar and everybody at Treyarch know what needs to be changed instead of just ignoring it, saying it's lame, crap, as people are saying. I'm not gonna get into exactly what people are calling it, but let's just not brush it to the side. Let's actually handle this problem. Because if you look at Advanced Warfare, we saw Stim and Cloak. They were used at the tournament and they were banned. But all the other weapons in the game that were causing problems, people like shotguns, all the LMGs and IMR, those things were never officially banned or nerfed in the game because they were just shoved aside in gentlemen's agreements. We never provided feedback. We just said, it's lame, ban it. So I like to see players use it, provide feedback, it'll be changed. But that's just what I like to see nerfed, is the LMGs. Now, if we talk about things that need to be buffed, there's really not much. I mean, they have the Locust on there, which, okay, I guess that's acceptable. They buffed the Razorback, which the Razorback was kind of the gun to go to in the beta. So I guess they're just trying to buff it to make it at least viable, because right now it's in the same tier as the Weevil, where it's just completely useless. So I'm glad that that's there. But things I like to see buffed, maybe the Weevil SMG, but there's really not a whole lot. Also, I'm sorry, forgot to mention this. Things that need to be nerfed, I would like to see the Thermite Grenade nerfed. I think that it would be nice to see pro players run Flak Jacket and be able to combat it, just like in the beta. We saw the Flak Jacket was actually something that would directly counter the Thermite, so it should be like that again. But now we can go ahead and move on to our next topic here. After talking about the weapon patches, I want to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below, in the chat below, if you're watching this on YouTube or on the live stream, it depends. But the competitive rule set and bans. So I'm actually going to read to you what Game Battles has proposed should be the rule set and bans. And this is just a work in progress. Obviously, they're going to keep going with certain things. Obviously, this is not the beginning. I'm going to tell you my opinion after we read through everything that's banned. So item restrictions. This is on the Game Battles website, of course. Now, for weapons, we have all secondary launchers, C4, trip mines, and shock charge. Great. Score streaks, we have UAV, counter UAV, care package. For attachments, none. For perks, we have awareness, ghost, sixth sense, and tracker. For specialists, we have hive, kinetic armor, rejack, and vision pulse. So that entire nomad specialist, both his weapon and his ability are banned. He is the only specialist that is like that. Now, for wild cards, none. So that's different from Advanced Warfare, where we saw overkill was banned. Now, for weapons. I gotta say, I'm happy that they didn't ban weapons outright. I mean, we saw in Ghosts that it was obviously appropriate with the MSBS. Definitely needed to do that, but because that was a weapon that you would see most people just run all the time. But I'm confused as to why we didn't see it in Advanced Warfare when the bow was obviously overpowered. You know, but so and then in Black Ops 3, we're seeing more outcry about LMGs and everything. I'm glad that they're at least trying to let the community adjust around and create strategy and everything, because Black Ops 3 has a lot of depth in the game itself. So I'm happy to see that they're at least giving it time before banning it outright. Now, the rest of these things on here, and in terms of the weapons, the secondary launchers, C4, trip mines, shock charges, you should clearly ban things that at their very nature are anti-competitive. If at their very nature they just hurt the game and no amount of tweaking will change that, you should definitely ban it, right? So that's why things like C4, trip mine, shock charges are non-competitive play, and then free fire launchers that just serve as like RPGs, they're kind of unfair, right? And you can just have it in your back pocket. It shouldn't cost the same as a pistol. And then, so as far as weapons, I feel like the only ones that should be looked at right now are LMGs and maybe the Shiva, because right now the Shiva with rapid fire is upsetting a lot of people. Now, score streaks. We have UAV, counter UAV, and care package. I think that this is a very light ban we have on score streaks. I think that things like the Guardian and Sentry guns should also go. And if it turns into a camp fest, maybe the hater as well, because we saw that Parasite was very famous for this in Black Ops 2 with the VSAT, where he would just camp back, try and get stack his streaks for the VSAT, and then they just go on a complete slaughter fest for the next minute and a half or however long it lasted. But so far, those things aren't proven to be an issue, so I think this is a very good list of bans we have for score streaks. Perks, Awareness, Ghost, Sixth Sense, and Tracker. Those are very good bans. You should not get free information from a perk that gives you such a huge advantage over other people. I got to say that I'm really happy with those bans. The only other perk that I think might need to be looked at is Overclock. It's what allows you to get your specialist weapon and ability faster than others. Now, the rate at which it does this, I don't know, because we don't have any sort of numerical value for that, nor the specialist, but that might need to be taken a look at. But now we have Specialist, Hive, Kinetic Armor, Rejack, and Vision Pulse. Again, these are just things that provide free information for the player and that are banned. Rejack is like the Tactical Insurgent, which has been banned in previous Call of Duties. When you come back to life, that shouldn't happen in a first-person shooter, especially a first-person shooter with such a short time to kill. It just slows down the gameplay in a very bad way. Now, wildcards, none are banned, which I think it should stay like that until something like Overkill is proven to be an issue, which right now it is not. So I want to hear your opinions in the chat and on YouTube about in the comments on YouTube. I will be reading these about the nerfs and everything like that and the competitive rule set and bans. I think that this weekend, you should not be looking to see are these competitive rules and bans going to be representative of competitive Call of Duty, because this weekend, things that are also going to be used are UAVs, counter UAV. Right now, this weekend is a show match. Nothing is banned. The pro players still don't know what game modes or maps they're playing. So honestly, at this point, it's a free-for-all. So do not let this weekend, where it's going to be lots of LMGs, come into play. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it for the weekly wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you were able to get a better understanding as to everything that transpired in the past 7 days of Black Ops 3 releasing. It's a fantastic game. We're going to have a great year of competitive Call of Duty once we get everything ironed out. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you guys Monday on the STiKS Live podcast. Stay tuned.